coming in hot, everyone. Best gun show. I can't remember what the Wall Street Journal, they called us something recently in one of the big papers. It was like best gun show that's ever been created, or like whatever it was. It was like super flattering. So today we're coming at you with a new episode on the STI 2011, specifically the Costa VIP. Now, for those of you who stay fairly in tune to what's happening at STI, you'll know this gun is not a production gun anymore. They stopped making these maybe, I don't know, a year ago or something like that, but this is a personal gun. And since we did our Tri-Arc review, I had quite a few questions come in. Well, how does that compare to an STI? And I thought, well, I have an STI, so we'll just do a video of an STI. Now, here's the big difference if we're just looking at, okay, my Tri-Arc, which is a 5-inch government, Crash Course 101 in 2011s and 1911s. For those of you who are not in that space, government is 5-inch, full length. And this, which would be a Commander, is either 4 or 4 1/4. I believe it's 4 1/4. And then we get into like officers and shit like that. And I don't know anyone who carries an officer 1911, to be honest, unless you're like 70. So this is a Commander 2011. This would be really, in my opinion, considered a carry gun 2011. Like, this is a gun that for me in the winter, when, you know, I'm not a huge dude, I don't have a ton of weight, so I can't necessarily carry that when I'm just rocking jeans and t-shirt in the summer. When the winter rolls around and I got some layers on, I will carry this gun. I don't carry it with a threaded barrel, and don't worry, we will talk about that threaded barrel, because some of you are going, oh, that's pretty cool that STI did that, because that gun doesn't come stock with a threaded barrel. Oh, don't you worry, we'll talk about that. This being a personal gun, I get all the benefits of, it's mine, I paid for it, it wasn't free, so I can say whatever I want about it. I've got an interesting relationship with this gun. This is one of those relationships where I go, I love you despite your flaws. This is not a flawless gun. There are things that I don't like about this gun, but the truth is that I love this gun. I am like a total hoe bag when it comes to guns. It's a technical term, everyone, hoe bag. I buy and sell and trade stuff all the time. Very few guns stay in my collection for very long. This one's been here for a period of, I don't know, I mean, upwards of 3 years, somewhere in that ballpark. So I really do enjoy this gun, but there's things that I don't like about it. So let me tell you some of the stuff that I do like about it. Those of you, first of all, who are like, you know, what technically is a 2011? Like, what of this is actually considered the firearm? Here's the thing. One of the cool things about 2011s, this grip, that's not the gun. The frame, this part with the serial number on it, that, much like a SIG 320, that's actually what the gun is. This is all modular, okay? So if you're like, well, I don't like these grips, I'd rather have a smoother texture or this different color, whatever, you can swap all this stuff out, which is a really nice thing about 2011s, that like, hey, like once you stipple your Glock frame, that frame, you know, pretty much is what it is, unless you have some secret stuff I don't know about, right? But it's like, hey, that frame is pretty much the way that frame is now. This is all modular. It's really, really cool stuff, okay? So let's start with some of the things that I do and don't like about this gun. So you'll notice I'm not super gentle with my guns. There's scratches, there's things that happen. You know, it's the nature of the beast. Like, these are work tools, and you know, it's whatever. Sometimes they get beaten up. So that's the standard grip that this comes with. I love this stuff. It's almost like, it reminds me of like a snake skin or something, like actual like textured snake skin. It's really cool, and it's a nice hybrid of good grip. Like, I've got good traction on that gun, even if it was wet, whatever the case may be. But especially if this is a carry gun, it's not so grippy that it's just gonna chew up your skin with whatever it's rubbing on, right? Some other stuff, they did a good job on this. Ambi safety is standard, which I am a lefty, so I do appreciate these things. I know some of you are like, well, I don't care if I'm a righty, and so I don't care about the ambi safety. Yeah, but you got to keep in mind, look, that's, you know, $100, sometimes $200 upgrade if you have to do this kind of stuff. And really, I would even argue that if you're a righty, you should want an ambi safety anyway, because sometimes you're probably going to be changing hands, just doing different drills. So I would want both options available. Whew. It's hot out here today. Doing these drills makes a guy tired. When I get tired, I grab a Bang energy drink. Star Blast. Star Blast. When you're shooting and you need a little boost, you can head over to your local, yeah, that's good. You can head over anywhere that you shop for household goods, Walmart, whatever, fucking Amazon. You could go to my personal site and order these with my discount code. But you can't, because Bang hasn't given me a promo code yet. And they can make all these videos go away if you send me a 6-pack and a letter that says you appreciate my efforts. Pick up a Star Blast at your local store today, folks. Okay, let's talk about another positive, okay? So the trigger it's interesting, okay? Let's make sure we are not doing anything dumb here. So the trigger I actually really like it. Even though I'm more drawn to flat triggers these days, you know, there's a little bit of take up on it. And I'll tell you, honestly, I like having a little bit of take up on a trigger because I like there being a balance between here and the gun just went off. I like going, I'm on the wall. If I keep going, now that trigger goes. It's really crisp. It's not a heavy trigger. I don't know the weight, you know, probably, I don't know, 3.5, 4 pounds, something like that. It's not light enough that as a carry gun, you would be concerned, like, Jesus, man, do I want to carry that thing being that light? It's not in that category, but it is nice and light, okay? Trigger, I completely co-sign on that. I think it's really cool. They did a nice job with these undercuts. You can get a nice high purchase on the gun, right? You've got a nice little, it's not textured underneath here, but you do have a nice little ledge there for that support hand to be able to go and find that place. Okay, nice undercut here, obviously, so you can get nice high on the gun. There's a lot of good stuff going on here. Some of the stuff that to me is a little bit of a unique, like I'm not sure why they necessarily made these decisions. Let's talk about some of those. The sights, I don't know what I think about these sights, is the honest truth. I really don't know what I think about these. So what you'll see is, well, we've got a nice ledge, okay? So the ledge being there, cool, good for racking off whatever, and whatever weird scenario we're playing out on our head where I needed to rack my slide off of a car hood or something. Hey, well, I guess that's an option, okay? But they're interesting sights. We've got, in essence, what is a black rear sight, but we have one tritium dot underneath, okay? So we've got one tritium dot here, centered, which I can only assume is designed so that it's supposed to be less distracting than 2 dots on both edges of the sight. And then we've got a tritium front. And that tritium front, I don't know, maybe it's just my eyes playing up, I may put the eyes playing tricks on me, but that front sight seems to be a very low profile sight. Is that a problem? Is it a concern? Not really, I don't guess. I can't quite figure it out. So we've got tritium up here, then we got tritium back here, and it's just an interesting choice. I would say, look, on carry guns, I'm not super partial to fiber optic front sights, just because I think, well, there's probably decent odds that if you had to pull your carry gun, bedside gun, something like that, it would probably be in darkness. So I actually do like tritium for that versus a fiber. That's just me. Everyone's got a personal choice in that. I just don't know about these tritium sights. They're just a little weird to me, minus the ledge like that. The actual layout of the sights, I'm kind of so-so on. Another interesting choice. So I think the Costa Ludus branding is probably a little too heavy. And let me say this, that is in no way a slide towards Chris. I've trained with Chris at multiple courses. I like Chris. I have nothing but positive things to say about him and his courses. I think they're a great time and get good stuff from him. Little much on the branding for me. The most interesting choice thing I don't really get or like that much is I don't have any front serrations. Like, if we take this little patch of real estate here, that seemed like such a clear choice. Throw something on there. It's not that I'm like prevented from racking a slide because I don't have those serrations. This seems like such a logical place to throw in some serrations. But instead of that, right, we've got these rear serrations, which I would also like to see up here. But we've got these, like, you know, they're not cutouts, but it's like little chunks of the slide that have been taken out. And I don't really know what the purpose is of that. Like, aesthetically, it looks cool. Aesthetically, this is a gorgeous gun. I just don't really know what the purpose of this is. My only guess is, I guess it's to lighten the slide, so the slide's gonna track a little faster. I'm trying to imagine as them, they go, okay, we want to lighten the slide a little bit, but we don't want to actually do window cuts, just because, especially on, you know, something other than a Glock, that could be a little bit problematic stuff getting in there, yada, yada, yada. So let's lighten it by doing these little cutouts, but let's not send them all the way through. Cool, I get it. You know, it doesn't give you any benefit in terms of traction. Like, there's no added value there. So they're cool. I just really wish we had some serrations up here. Okay, that's probably my biggest complaint on the gun. Now, let's address the threaded barrel. So anyone who knows much about me is gonna know that there's two pieces of every equation for me. There is the product. There is the, do you make a good widget, whatever the thing is. In this case, yes. This gun's been reliable, it's accurate, it's all those things. It's a good gun. But the other thing is, well, what's the consumer experience attached to that? And so here you go. So I call up STI 3-4 months ago, and I say, hey, I've got some cans coming, and I want to be able to run that pistol suppressed. Can I send it back to you guys to put a threaded barrel on it? Because STI does make threaded barrels, like they put threaded barrels on stuff. I know plenty of people who've got threaded STI guns. And their exact wording to me, they go, well, we're not taking any custom orders right now. Custom order? What do you mean a custom order? It's your gun. Like, what? I said, well, it's not a custom order. I'm not asking you to build me a gun with threaded barrel. I'm going to send you my gun, like the gun that I bought from you guys. I'll send it to you and pay for the shipping and everything. And I just need you guys to fit a threaded barrel, because the VIP, it's got a bull barrel. It's a little bit of a unique setup. It's not like you can just do drop-in barrels on 1911s, 2011s. It does need to be fit. And, you know, it's not like I'm going to send this to Nighthawk. They're not going to do it. It's not their gun. So I call up STI, hey, can you fit a threaded barrel on this? We're not taking custom orders right now. I said, really? Like, you know, I was almost like confirming it, like just making sure I'm hearing you right here, because this will probably get addressed. You're not taking custom orders, because you do understand I'm asking you to put a barrel on your gun that you sold me. They wouldn't do it. They refused. And I got an issue with that. This is so what did I have to do? I have to send it to a special 1911 builder and spend an arm and a leg getting a barrel in there and coated and yada, 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 right? And fortunately, he was able to do that for me, and he was cool doing that, even though it was kind of a favor that I had to call in. But it's just like, well, that's dog shit customer service, okay? And hate to break it to you, product's good. If you talk to people who know the STI scene, a lot of people have negative experiences with STI customer service, not getting back to them. This won't put a threaded barrel on their gun. So I'm 50-50 on this gun, partially because I think, hey, there's some features that are, you know, I'm not fully on board with. I love the gun. There's some features that I don't know about, but man, it's a $2,600 gun. It's a $2,600 gun. Like, if I call you and say, will you provide something to this gun? It's $2,600. I'm not, hey, guess what? Jake's not a billionaire, okay? I'm not just rolling in cash. That's an investment for me. That's a real deal expenditure for me, spending that kind of money on a gun. And when they won't do that, it really does rub me the wrong way, okay? Just know that. So a question I've gotten quite a bit since we did the Triarch review is, well, how does the Triarch compare to the STI? And typically when people say, how does this compare to this? In almost every case, it's an irrelevant question, because you're dealing with two very different products. Well, in this case, STI versus Triarch, you're actually dealing with very similar products. So it's a completely relevant question. It's one of the rare times you go, I can actually answer that, because Triarch to me is what STI used to be. When, you know, most gun companies, when they come along, they make a very good product because they have to. Otherwise, how are they going to get any traction? No one's going to buy it if everyone knows you don't make a good product. So typically how this story goes for gun companies is you make a very good product, and then sometimes you get a little too cool for school. Sometimes it's an ego thing. And then sometimes it is just a breakdown in like production. Like we tried to bite off a little more than we could chew, and things slowed down, and lead times got out of control, and then our customer service wasn't there. So Triarch, I think, has really taken over a chunk of the STI pie. Because if you look at it, $2,600 gun, I could just get a Triarch with that. Like, we're, you know, that might be a couple $100 off, you know, it might be 28, 29, but like, you're really damn close to if you bought an STI. Now, granted, there's STIs with, you know, comps and all this kind of stuff, but if we're talking about, you know, pretty standard, you know, 2011 stuff, not like, you know, optics and all that kind of stuff, Triarch's making, you know, a similar product to STI. I do believe they're doing a better job of it. They have better customer service. You pay a little bit more, but I do think it's a better buy. I honestly do. The other thing that STI, and look, I'll throw this out there because I think it is worth noting when we start to talk about the too cool for school conversation. I think something that STI is running into right now is with the John Wick movies, you know, STI got even more of a name because now you had Taron Butler teaching Keanu Reeves how to run STI 2011s. And so everyone's like, oh, I got to get the, whatever the 2011 Master, whatever the fuck the 2011 is from the John Wick movies, Combat Master, the Combat Master, I got to get that. It's like, okay, cool. You understand, you're buying a movie. It's like me buying the Rambo knife. You're buying that gun because it was in the movie and it was cool and it's functional, but it's like, look, you're buying it because it was cool in a movie. The only problem with that is you can start to believe a little bit of your own hype. And we've seen this with other companies before where they had guns that were featured in movies, custom shops, like in the Salient comes to mind, where they started getting Glocks in the Transformer movies in 13 hours. And 13 hours, they were running the gray, which is super weird because that gun didn't even exist when 13 hours happened in Benghazi. So you start to see this stuff and companies get a little bit on the hype train. The problem with being on the hype train is you start to believe your own hype. So I believe that that's part of why STI's customer service has started to lack, because look, business is cranking, you know, people are buying Combat Masters, people are doing all this stuff, right? So it's like you can lose sight of some of those fundamentals. And I'm a big proponent of this. Like, look, never lose sight of the shit that got you to the dance in the first place. If building a good product and taking care of your customers is what got you there, well, you can't turn your back on that system just because you get a little bit of press, right? So when I buy an STI or a Triarch, like, honestly, it's a very simple answer for me. I buy a Triarch, it's not even debatable, and that's what I tell friends when they hit me up and they're like, I'm thinking about getting my first 2011, what should I get? It's a good gun. I'm not discounting that that's a good gun, but I would much rather spend $300 more and have a good experience, good turnaround time, with, I believe, a better gun. Who also, by the way, I've called Triarch because I need to get a threaded barrel fit on my Triarch, and they're like, yeah, no problem, of course, send the gun to us. Like, literally, they were like almost confused, like, yeah, of course you could send it to get a threaded barrel on it, you know? This is just stuff to keep in mind, okay? I'm not an STI hater, but I do like to share honest experiences of companies when I have them. Good gun, a little bit confusing. Customer service lacks a little bit. I don't know. I don't have the right answer. I do know this, America, it's been nice to see you this week, and I hope everyone has a wonderful week with their families and their grandparents, and whatever you do, Sunday brunches, enjoy all that shit and go shoot some 2011s. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel while you're here. Maybe like, leave us a comment. If you leave us a nasty comment or you leave us a thumbs down, that might be the lowest form of human interaction these days. Who leaves a thumbs down on a YouTube video? But subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, Outspoke, Full30.com, 1911 Syndicate. It's very simple. If you're a podcaster, you just like listening to audio in your car, you can search the Syndicate Minutes on Apple, Google, Spotify, and you can always find us on Instagram, Facebook, all those good things. Just search 1911 Syndicate, and we'll hang out. Come on, we'll hang out with each other online. Let's become friends. Come on, just do it. Go, do it now.